Bopas. Welcome to the GCN show.
Welcome to the GCN show.
Coming up this week, the worst, the most infuriating types of cyclists to ride with. We all know them, we don't love them, but we're about to name and shame them.
We've also got a brand new giveaway for you, the world's longest Strava art, why Banksy should get into cycle safety campaigning, and move over Tom Pidcock. We've got a new kid on the Cyclo-cross block.
It's not Connor, is it? I wouldn't call it.
It is Connor.
Is it?
No. This week in the world of cycling, we learned that if you want to punch somebody in the head, you just got to enter a bike race.
That's right, all it'll cost you is £45. That was the punishment handed out to Maxim van Hees for the incident at the Japan Cup, as well as a 10 UCI point deduction.
No disqualification from the race?
No disqualification from the race. His result in the race still stands.
Wow. Who would you punch if it only cost 45 quid?
I'm not going there, eh?
No. Or you do have a list in your head then, by the sound of it. We also learned that one of the debates of our times has finally been settled. E-bikes are officially bikes.
That is big news.
It is big news. We say that though, but the European Court of Justice has got involved and ruled that e-bikes are not motor vehicles, which is actually important as the EU directive on civil liability is going to be clarified as a result this year.
It's probably more interesting than it sounds, is it?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Than I made it sound.
Finally, we learned that the world record for the longest Strava art has just been smashed, and behind it is quite a story.
A story that got us thinking about the worst types of cyclists to ride with. Number one then is the pathological over-enthusiast.
Yeah, the obsessed cyclist who is determined to introduce their partner, their friends or their family to the wonders of cycling, only to put them off it for life by making them ride too far for there to be any sense of fun. Oh, it rides you up the wall, doesn't it?
To be fair, that might have been me, I think, in the past. I'm pretty sure I've taken most of my family out for a ride at some point that has been very enjoyable until the point that it wasn't, which is generally quite some way from home.
Have Lorraine or Jude ridden a bike recently?
No, nor Ralph.
No, mission accomplished then, mate. The only time, to be fair, my family come riding with me now is when they're on the back of the cargo bike. But even Dan and I pale into insignificance compared to Frédéric de la Nouvelle.
Because for his daughter's 16th birthday present, he took her on a tandem ride that lasted for half of August and was 2,100 kilometres in length.
Wow. To be fair, in this case, it does actually seem like the pair of them are as hardcore as each other. Because not only did they ride over 2,000 kilometres on a tandem, they also made the aforementioned world's biggest piece of Strava art spanning most of France, and brilliantly they raised €27,000 for charity as well.
Plus, she actually got quite lightly compared to her bigger sister, because for her 16th birthday, he made them do the Marathon des Sables.
No! Yeah. He has got super hardcore kids, hasn't he?
50 Ks unsupported run. Ballistic.
What would you rather do, Marathon des Sables or 2,000 kilometres on the back of a tandem?
Probably the tandem.
Would you? I think I'd try Marathon des Sables.
Well, you can get away with slacking on the back of a tandem, can't you?
Yeah,
no slacking.
That is true, actually.
Anyway, another type of cyclist who is perhaps harder to avoid is the one that disrupts the natural order of a group ride. You all know them, don't you? Typically, it's the rider that wants to go faster than everyone else, and so therefore makes life really uncomfortable for everybody else. But equally bad, I think, is the rider that's too slow for a group ride.
That is controversial, mate. Not a problem going slower for someone, is it?
No, not always, but sometimes a fast ride is just a fast ride, isn't it? And while rarer, the rider that overestimates their own ability can get into a world of trouble, like almost like a death spiral.
A death spiral?
A death spiral. So the fastest riders wait, don't they?
Yeah.
So they all freshen up. Then as soon as the ride that's been dropped gets back on, the faster riders then set off again, fresher and therefore faster than before. And the slower rider just gets more and more tired because they never get any recovery.
I see. That does sound quite like a death spiral. Presumably you've gone back into your memory banks to remember fast rides, do you?
Yes, and actually dropping people as opposed to the other way around.
Just dusted some cobwebs off. Anyway, perhaps that slower rider just needs some mansplaining, don't they?
Go on.
Some mansplaining about what rides they should and shouldn't be on. Because my word, there are enough mansplainers lurking about in cycling, aren't there? Enough, in fact, that the mansplainer is next on our list of people to avoid riding with. The rider who feels the need to impart every bit of cycling knowledge they have on anyone that is or isn't willing to listen to.
We should point out, it is fine to give advice. It can be incredibly useful to riders new and old. But there is always that one rider, and it is normally a bloke, isn't it, who wants to continually bark instructions and orders and give advice to everybody.
Oh my word. And sometimes even to people that are significantly more experienced than them.
It sounds like this has happened to you, Si, has it?
Well, I mean, yeah, it is. Particularly people that think they know about bike fitting.
Right.
Like, not actual bike fitters necessarily, but like amateur bike fitters who feel the need to offer advice on your own position. So I've had numerous comments about my own position over the years. Now, I don't think my position is that bad. I have indeed had bike fits, but the one that took the biscuit for me wasn't on a ride. It wasn't even specifically to me. It was a YouTuber who said that Primož Roglic could have won more races if he'd sorted his position out.
Yeah, so Jumbo-Visma has completely overlooked the sham of a position that he adopts on his bike.
Exactly. Oh my word. To think that Jumbo-Visma, the best team in the world, wouldn't have thought to look at one of the highest paid riders. I mean, it just beggars belief, doesn't it?
It's preposterous.
Preposterous, yeah.
Maybe he should look at his diet and training as well to get even better. Anyway, next up we've got the maverick, which is the best term we could come up with for a rider who sticks to their own plan on a ride no matter what. That might be doing intervals on the group ride, going for a Strava KOM, getting dropped because they refuse to go out of their zone or any other number of infuriating traits that leave everyone wondering why they've gone out on a group ride in the first place.
Oh, that was quite a run, that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, this next one, I'm going to put my hand up, actually, because this is actually me. I admitted here a few weeks back as to having had the worst ride ever when I got a flat whilst running tubeless, and then I rinsed 4 inner tubes that I'd scabbed off my mates trying to fix it before eventually running out of their and my spares and having to tie a knot in the last one and then limping home.
Presumably you have at least given the spare tubes back to them, as in new ones. You haven't, have you?
No,
that is awful.
No, not yet. I've been meaning to. I have been meaning to. Anyway, yeah, I know. The worst thing, though, the worst thing is not actually giving the tubes back or fixing them or buying new ones. I actually did it again a couple of weeks later.
You went out without enough spares?
No, I went out with tubeless tyres and had a thoroughly avoidable problem with them.
Yeah. Well,
so, yeah.
Always room to learn, so I'm going
that's
to explain it to you. So are we saying then that you shouldn't ride with people who use tubeless, do you think? Or just idiots who use tubeless, perhaps?
Probably the latter, because I mean, I do think tubeless is by and large quite good. It's just not idiot-proof.
No.
Basically, yeah.
Right, moving on. Lastly, and again linking to something we also talked about in the show a few weeks back, it's the Roid Rager.
Yeah, the rider that is perpetually about to kick off at everyone and everything, but mainly cars.
Yeah, not only stressful to ride with, but seriously embarrassing at times too, isn't it?
And potentially risky. You kick off at the wrong car and you could well get a kicking yourself.
Yes.
You know what, there were two such riders on my local Tuesday night fast group ride. Okay, it was a drop ride. If there was no waiting, just you know. Anyway, one day those two like angry people, they didn't have anyone else to shout at, so they ended up having a fight with each other instead. It was at least amusing to the rest of us, but yeah, how bonkers is that?
I'm presuming you didn't get involved. You know,
what gives you
a potential punch up?
What gives you that impression, Dan?
Well, yeah. I mean, I can see that you are not doing pull-ups like I am. And
I'm
I've
trying.
actually got a bone to pick with you about that.
Why?
Because in the video that we released on Saturday, you described me doing pull-ups and I was doing chin-ups. And everyone assumes now that I don't know the difference between the two.
Oh, sorry, mate.
Which is not the case at all.
It's my ignorance.
It's your ignorance that made me look a fool.
Which one's which?
So,
Pull up?
chin up that
Chin up?
way, pull up that way.
Okay, all right. Okay.
So I do know what the difference is.
Yeah, anyway.
Just not sigh.
I've been trying. I can do one pull-up now and then about about a quarter maybe of a chin.
Well, like I said, genuinely, you will get better very, very quickly.
Actually, no, other way around. Anyway, I hope so, yeah. Right, we're moving on, shall we? Well, first of all, we should actually ask you lot what the worst people to ride with,
Yeah.
who they are, in fact,
I'm
what type
going
of rider.
to enjoy reading this week's comments because there are going to be some very annoying people described, I think, in the comment section down below. Yeah, let us know your thoughts on who the worst types of cyclists are to ride with.
What the trouble is, I feel like I might have to put my hand up to a few of those.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately.
Sounds like it.
Now, next, hopefully, this following section isn't a case of pushy partner, but fellow presenter Alex and his wife, and also fellow colleague of ours, Chloe.
Current wife.
Yes, are off to the USA this week to take part in Big Sugar, which is the gravel season finale.
Chloe's been training for months, hasn't she, for her first gravel race. Society checked back in with them to see how things have been going. Still together, are they?
They are, yeah, so far. Okay, 2 weeks out from Big Sugar, Chloe. How's the form?
Form is like pretty good, I think. Training's been going well. I have just been out for a week unwell, unfortunately.
Ah, no way.
But put a bit of a spanner in the works. But up until then, form was good.
You've been flying the most recent weeks, and as you say, shame to get unwell, but you've had to like adapt stuff, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so how does that work, right? Because you're still using Humango, this AI app. How I mean, do you let the AI know that you're not very well?
Yeah, quite literally. Like you put in, well, obviously it plans out your workouts for the week. But yeah, when I got sick last week, I had to put in each day that I was unwell, and it then
Like writing a note to school, that kind of thing.
Sick note, yeah. Yeah, you basically put in that you're sick and if you can still do some training or not, basically. So if you're not that poorly, but you want to just like dial it back a bit, you can do that, or you can just take the day off. So yeah, and then it replans and it adjusts your training accordingly. Yeah, I guess depending how long you're out for. So for me, it was basically all of last week, so quite a considerable amount.
The important thing to remember is the training's in the bank. 1 week, that's the week to get sick.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks out, that's like you've done it well there.
It wasn't ideal, but it's better that it was last week and not next week.
Like coming to Big Sugar now, you're going to be back on the way up, which I think is like the best way of approaching it, because you're going to be feeling fresh mentally and like ready to like get stuck into it.
Actually, to be fair, like just before I got sick, I was actually, we've been away in France riding, we've done a lot of training. It's been a long process, and I actually was feeling quite tired, and I'm apprehensive about the challenge. But I think mentally, I was struggling a bit. So having that week off, I think actually did help reset, because we went out on the weekend just for an easy spin. But I had like a big smile on my face. I was like enjoying it. Whereas I think before, I was starting to like struggle a bit mentally with it.
Can I ask what you're feeling nervous about?
It's like the unknown. I've literally never done a race in my life. I've never been to like a mass event like that before, and gravel. I don't know, I think it's the unknown, like not knowing what to expect. I think once we get going, I'll settle into it and I'll be okay. But yeah, I would lie if I said I wasn't feeling nervous about it.
Yeah.
Excited, but I just worrying if I'm going to finish it or how it's going to.
I think you'll be okay. I think you've done this.
Yeah, maybe I'm overthinking it.
Well, I mean, you probably are, but it's natural to overthink stuff, isn't it? Yeah. But then I guess that's kind of where the excitement comes from too, right? Because it's just like, it's a big thing. Yeah. You've worked for a long time for it. And that's
that's it. It's like everything that we've like worked hard for, it will all like come together. Hopefully.
There's been a lot of hard work and effort and preparation gone into it. I'm actually super excited as well. I said to you at the weekend, I'm excited about being able to go and do this together. Like, I'm excited about the event and being able to ride in like an iconic, cool place and do the stuff. But it's not very often you get to do like what we're doing together, and that is exciting for me, I think. Yeah.
It's going to be good. I mean, there's no way that I'd be able to do it without you. I think that's like the key thing is, like the training together and the challenge of doing it together. But I think it'll be super cool when we're out there. I just want to like take it all in, and like I do want to just enjoy it. And yeah, it's going to be hard, but I want to make sure that I make the most of it, because it's not every day you just get to go and do some like mega event.
It's cool, very cool. Right, well, I can't wait to see how it goes.
Well, there's only one way to find out. Watch the video.
Yeah.
Good point.
And now it's time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and we're going to start with some city cycling news. Our video from last week called "My City is for Cycling" has sparked some really good comments underneath it, hasn't it?
It has, and following on from that theme, we saw this article about how effective road diets are proving to be over in Philadelphia. Now, according to Y, efforts have been targeting the high injury network, which is 12% of roads, which make up 80% of traffic deaths and serious injuries.
Yeah, now fatal injury crashes of all road users are down 34%. Yeah, and car speeding is down 25%. However, like tragically, when you look at the stats, this year has been particularly bad for cyclist fatalities. So whilst road dieting is definitely a good thing, also, do you think we need to explain what road dieting is?
It might be a good idea because I had to ask you before we started filming.
Yeah, so road dieting is where you take space away from vehicles basically and give it to either like trees or bike lanes or that kind of thing. So you literally narrow things. So it makes it harder to drive. So you'd think that would be a positive thing. Maybe it's because more people are riding, but there've been more fatalities. So anyway, more still needs to be done in Philly, but at least things are moving in the right direction, aren't they?
Well, I think this photo taken at Stansted Airport recently here in the UK illustrates very neatly the difficulties that much bike infrastructure suffers.
That is a great photo, isn't it? Let me get this straight. Someone has put a Portaloo in the middle of a bike lane.
They have, yes. The parody Twitter account we saw this on is genius. They basically said, "We're delighted to have opened the world's first service station for cyclists today, worth every penny of the £30 million the government gave us for green initiatives."
That does sum up quite nicely. Yeah, my bike lane is judging by that photo. Anyway, one person has taken things into their own hands though. According to Belgian news outlet HLN, artist and bike rider Hilaire Smet has created a rather natty sculpture.
Sculpture.
A sculpture, yeah. So a bike on its side with the front wheel folded in half and then a pair of legs sticking out from a hedge.
Oh yeah, so I see. Legs wearing high vis, which will please some
Absolutely,
people,
yeah.
no doubt. As well as being quite funny, he thinks it makes people drive slower around it as well.
Well, yeah, so we were wondering, having seen this, perhaps a new breed of cycling vigilantes should spring up, like comedy vigilantes. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, to be fair, if Banksy was to turn his attention to road safety, you can bet that it would be bloody funny and probably very effective as well.
Well, that's right. So road safety campaigners, what would Banksy do? That should be your thought for the week. Comedy travels a lot further than like angry videos on Twitter.
Generally.
Yeah, although
don't they?
angry videos on Twitter do have a habit of
Yes.
lingering around
And
these
angry
days.
posts in general.
That's right.
Now, I'm not sure that she'll be channeling Banksy, but the mayor of Manila, Joy Belmonte, has apparently returned from a trip to the world's #1 cycling city, Copenhagen, with a determination to make Quezon City, which is part of Manila in the Philippines, a safe haven for cyclists.
Yeah, and the reason we bring this up is because under the video about city cycling, we had a few comments from people in Manila. So Christ6963
Sounds about right.
Yep, said, my city is the most shitty for cycling here in Manila, Philippines, in capitals, especially at rush hour, 8 AM and 5 PM, Monday to Friday.
Although to neatly illustrate one of the points of the video on how we all experience cities differently, Touring Tony wrote in to say, "I got into cycling because I was living in Manila and the traffic was too much for me. A good friend already commuted by bike to a nearby office. He sat me down with his laptop and we devised a route that was a bit longer but with less traffic. It was probably the best cycling advice I have ever had." Grant Halbert, if you're reading this, many thanks to you.
Grant Halber. Big thumbs up. Get involved in the comment section as well. Probably do a bit of advice, couldn't we? Not mansplaining, though. Just, you know.
Well, there's a fine line.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Anyway, so no, we're not saying all advice is bad, are we?
No.
It's just like unprompted, unwarranted advice. Anyway, there we go. Some racing news now. We'll move on to safer ground. Luca Vergolito, who was the winner of last year's Men's Zwift Academy, has just signed for the full Alpecin-Deceuninck World Tour squad, having spent his first year in their development team.
Yeah, congratulations to Luca. And I would say that move is very well deserved.
Yeah.
I was looking back at the results and they've been very consistent throughout this year, including a couple of overall wins at some smaller stage races. So perhaps he might be making his debut at the Giro d'Italia next year.
You certainly hope so, wouldn't you? Now, speaking of Zwift, they were busy last week launching their brand new Hub One, which a lot of you will have already seen the details of online on the new GCN website.
Yep.
or on our video on GCN Tech last week. The headlines, though, are that multiple bikes with different wheel sizes are all compatible. So if they've got the same standard axle sizing as like normal bikes, so through axle or quick release, whatever, if it fits on it, then there are 24 internal virtual gears, plus an auto calibration that means you'll have access to the same 24 virtual gear ratios, no matter what size the chainring is and the sprocket on the back. No, the sprocket on the back is consistent, isn't it? Because that's on the hub. No matter what size the chainring is on your bike.
Yeah, I think it sounds great, to be honest. If you're not familiar with bikes and indoor trainers, it can all be a bit of a minefield, can't it? When you start to look at the right one for you and to figure out what is and isn't compatible. But this new trainer should take away a few of the barriers that often put people off even trying to get into indoor training in the first place.
Yeah, also you can share one like in a household, can't you? Because if you've got 12 speed, someone's got 11 speed, someone's got 7 speed, you know, that's a lot of faff time.
Good point.
So there we go. All right, back to outdoor cycling though, and it was the first round of the UCI Cyclo-cross World Cup last week. Fem van Empel took her 10th World Cup win in the women's race, but in the men's race we had a new rider on the top step of the podium. It wasn't Connor Dunn, was it?
It wasn't Connor Dunn. No. That new rider was a certain Thibaut Nace, the 20-year-old son of Sven Nace, widely regarded as the best cyclocrosser of all time. Thibaut now only has to win another 49 World Cups to equal his dad.
Oh, that's harsh. Isn't it?
Yeah, and a joke, I should point out.
Yeah, it was impressive, though, wasn't
Very.
it? Particularly, he rode 2 sections of the course that nobody else could. The steps, which do not look remotely rideable, do they?
No.
I mean, even when he's going up them, they don't look rideable. And then a bank, which is far steeper than it looks on TV, because the rider he's just dropped, whose name escapes me, is pulling himself up with the...
Pim Ronha.
Pim Ronha, yeah, he's having to pull himself up with the rope at the side of the course. That is impressive.
Well, he'd done it in training, but I don't think anybody had ever done it on that course in a race before. So yes, very impressive. And I'm pretty sure that Connor Dunn couldn't have ridden either of those sections either, although he is busy honing his cyclocross skills, isn't he?
Oh, what's that old phrase? If you're not crashing, you're not trying hard enough.
Sounds about right, yes.
Yeah. It's not a phrase we actually agree with, is it?
No. Anyway, we're going to finish Cycling Shorts with a brand new giveaway courtesy of GORE. So this is your opportunity to win one of 5 sets of Endure Gore-Tex jackets and transition bib shorts.
Yeah, so this one is a subject close to my heart. I flipping love a waterproof jacket, right? So the Endure is a Gore Packlight, or Gore-Tex Packlight jacket, I should say. Not like your aero cut, it's more for bike packing. The hood goes over your helmet, which is something that I absolutely love these days for, you know, like gravel riding and stuff like that. And the transition bib shorts are a really interesting thing because they're like sort of like weatherproof bib shorts. They've got spray resistant panel on the butt, so they're a little bit more substantial, a little bit warmer than I guess to transition between seasons.
Sounds very good.
Yeah.
There are unfortunately some territory restrictions with this giveaway out there. We'll list on the screen now the countries that you need to be in order to enter this giveaway. Normally we reserve that for racing rights.
I know.
Due to some legalities.
I'm not entirely sure why you can't necessarily win a pair of bib shorts in certain countries.
No, I'm not sure either.
But anyway, there you go.
That is the stipulations that we have been given. Anyway, entries close at 10 a.m. BST on Friday the 27th of October, and winners will be announced in a GCN show from Tuesday the 31st of October. So good luck to those of you who enter.
I'm going to enter because you can never have enough waterproof jackets.
No, but you also can't enter.
That is true.
Next up, hack/bodge of the week, and we're going to start with a 3D printed donut holder that was sent in by Frank Di Tommaso. 3D printed donut holder that when I need that pick me up on a ride and a gel just won't do. Get a custom 3D printed donut holder for your bicycle. I made this one for Chris Mahari, a photographer/cyclist extraordinaire. He delivers donuts to cool people here in town and for himself on rides.
Okay. Right, let's just start right there. Normally, 3D printed, automatic hack. First of all, this has been 3D printed to look like a bog brush, hasn't it? Like that literally, I was like, why have they put a toilet brush on the down tube? Secondly, it's on the down tube. Like the position on your bike that gets the most crap sprayed at it.
Where would you put them then?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I wouldn't put a 3D printed donut holder on my bike because if you put it anywhere out of way of spray, then you're putting it somewhere where you could get impaled on it, aren't you? In the event of an accident. So yeah,
it's no good for my donut of choice, which is with jam in. You'd like you killed someone, wouldn't you, if you put that over the top of it?
That's it. Yeah, that's like a modern donut, isn't it? A ring donut, not like the traditional ones that you grew up with. We both grew up with. Yeah, no, I'm going to say bodge for that one.
I'm saying hack, because I get the impression that the inventor is probably quite a quirky character, and I quite like the thought of him going around town delivering donuts. But I'm not sure I'd eat them because, as you pointed out, they could potentially be quite dirty.
Yeah, filthy donuts.
Like sprinkles on that.
Basically, yeah, all right. Anyway, I'm in the minority. You got it right. 60% of people said that was a hack. Moving on, Rod Kirk. Dura Ace Flintstones era unashamedly nicked from the Facebook fan page for a certain online cycling retailer that rhymes with jiggle. Apparently it's currently out of stock. Look at that. Oh, that's quite fun, isn't it?
That generally, though, is, I'm not going to say genius, but you can clearly see that that is a bike that's probably in a place where there's not a lot of money around, and generally looks like they've done that in order to keep their bike on the road and usable. Yeah,
so it's basically a wooden derailleur, isn't it, with that looks like a bottle top holding the jockey wheels together.
Yeah.
Jockey wheels that are actually old free hubs. So yeah, no, I'd agree. Like, that is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's probably a bit of a hack, isn't it?
I'd say so, yes, because that bike would probably be redundant without them having done that. So it'd be a hack from me.
Yeah, all right, hack from me.
Well, we're on the minority side. It's only 36% went with hack for that one.
Well, I think without your beautiful explanation.
Well, I always refer to it, but when I went over to Zambia for World Bicycle Relief and you saw what they had done to keep bikes on the road, not the World Bicycle Relief ones, but just general bicycles that they had over there, it gave you a sort of new outlook on what is a hack and a bodge, because it sort of depends in what financial situation you are, doesn't it?
Well, that is very true, mate.
Don't have much money and you keep your bike on the road, it's always going to be a hack.
Yeah.
Costiatris put hot glue gun solution for aero bar ends. I couldn't wrap the bar tape with bar ends carefully, so finished it with some electrical tape, but that appeared to be a bad solution for the sunny hot rides, where the very ends of the tape got messed up. I tried to use some thermal glue from a glue gun, which I imagine being 20% 3D printed, to fix everything. Got one race to do, and then I can think of a more neater solution.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that, if I'm honest. That looks a little bit like you might be at junior school. And, you know, that PVA glue that gets stuck to your fingers and you end up like picking it off. Why did electrical tape not work? That's the first time I've ever heard of electrical tape.
Heat, apparently.
Yeah, but how hot is it going to be?
Well, you try going on an indoor training side, you'll sweat. See how much electrical tape you've got left of it by the end of the session.
Ah, dear me. Yeah, no, I bodged from that. Me
as well. And most people agreed, 83% bodge.
There we go, sorry about that. Next up, MSK Guitars. Does anyone still use cables? Pfft. Run out of cable crimps? Use electrical heat shrink on your cable ends. There we go. Say it is cheap, easy to install and remove, won't ever fall off, and comes in a variety of colours. Well, I know stacks of people, myself included, still use cables. And that does actually look remarkably nice. What a neat solution.
I'm pretty sure that back in the days when pro cyclists were still using cables, that heat shrink wrap was used fairly regularly. I always thought it looked incredibly neat. My one criticism of this would be that the cable excess is a bit too long for my
I was thinking that as well, actually. I think maybe we just need to trim a little bit off that. Yes. But no, that looks very neat.
Well, it sounds like it's a hack from both of us.
Yeah.
A hack from 90% of those that voted. Maybe out of 100%. Cable was a bit shorter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then the last one, Dan, who have we got this time?
MSM Rogers, no TT bars, just make them yourself.
Is that another toilet brush? What on earth is that?
I mean, you'd struggle to get a toilet roll over that bulbous end.
No, I mean the bog brush. It's like a stick, isn't it? Attached to the handlebars with some bungees.
It looks like it's quite robustly attached, doesn't it?
Actually, it kind of looks like something else, doesn't it? There's like a weird head on the end.
Right. I don't know what you're thinking of.
No, yeah. I mean, that's weird, isn't it? But
I mean, it doesn't look like any effort has been made to keep your elbows comfortable if you are going to try and use said bar extension or aero bar.
Good point. A bit of an aside, I was out on my mountain bike on Sunday and I had like a 20-minute road ride to get home. And I rocked out the imaginary TT bars for the first time in a long time. And my word, I got home speedily.
Did you?
Yeah, UCI has no jurisdiction on my ride home from the trails. So there we go,
You
yeah.
have knee-high socks on aero ones as well.
I did. I was wearing Lycra, which is also remarkably speedy on a mountain bike. So it was early in the morning. No one could see
Puck
me.
Peter, I noticed in Mont Saint Anne at the World Cup, put her arms in the middle of the bars to get more aero down the start-finish straight.
There you go.
Anyway, we digress. Bodge.
Yeah, massive bodge. No more toilet brushes on bikes, please. There's just no need.
And we are in the majority because 90% versus 10% bodge and hack.
Yeah. I tell you what, there is blatantly a bike shop somewhere that's got a toilet brush made from a bit of bike, isn't there? Like we always see like toilet roll holders made from bits of bike. Someone's got a bog brush somewhere, haven't they?
I'd imagine so, yeah.
So there's your challenge next week.
I'll
You
upload
upload
that.
it to the GCN app. Yeah, a bog brush made out of some cycling parts. Next up, it's Caption Competition, that part of the show where you get a chance to get your hands on a coveted GCN Elite water bottle. All you got to do is put a witty caption in the comments section down below, and we will pick a winner next week. The funniest one, won't we? We'll pick the funniest one.
Well, what we think is the funniest
What
one.
we think is fun, or often the one that's been upvoted the most.
So, but they generally correlate, don't they?
They do indeed.
But we do sift through the others just in case. Last week's photo was this one, and our winner is at Cardiac Cyclist 7477. This was Gage Hecht, of course, getting a backie en route to sign on at a race. The caption that wins then is, I feel that I'm perfectly sane to be doing this. Mechanic, I disagree. I feel you're nuts.
Sorry, I know I'm a bit childish, but
little bit, yeah.
yeah, that I mean, that's yeah.
You should have grown out of that by now. You're in your 40s.
Well, that's true. Yeah, it is very, very true indeed. But there we go.
Well, Cardiac Cyclist, get in touch with us on Facebook with your address. We'll get a bottle sent out to you. This is the photo for you to get his teeth stuck into this week. It's Ethan Hayter with his younger brother Leo, basically pulling him along by the helmet, it seems. I will get you started. Ineos Grenadiers take marginal gains to 10-pin bowling.
See what you did there, mate.
Does kind of look like he's
Yeah,
got his
it does a
fingers in
little
a
bit.
bowling ball, doesn't it?
Yeah, I wonder whether he got fined €45 and 10 UCI points
Yes.
for dragging his little brother around
But
by the
the
helmet.
result remained.
Well, that's it. Yeah, anything goes. Yeah, that's quite amusing, that, isn't it? Right, yeah, get involved in the comment section, and as mentioned, we will pick a winner next week.
We will shortly let you know what we've got coming up for you on the channel this week. But first up, we've picked out a few comments from underneath last week's GCN show, haven't we? Starting with this one from Lucio Di Giasio. Monthly allowances for company e-bikes, €40, are becoming commonplace in Germany as well. I love this trend.
That's good to know, isn't it? Because we thought it was just France, but no.
Well, we did say we hoped it was reaching or going further afield, didn't we?
There you go. Yeah, that's awesome,
Sounds
isn't
like
it?
it is.
PS Max 62, the shopping trolley in hack/bodge last week, which we labelled a massive bodge, is apparently an off-the-shelf product by Burley. But
Few people
PS
pointed
Max said, I used one for years for commuting. It is stable, unless you hit a large pothole at speed on only one side when the trailer can flip over. It happened a few times for me, but it never made me crash. I stopped, flipped it back over and continued on my way. A terrific product, they say. I think that is probably a bad product. Like, do you not think? Oh, I'm on a busy main road and my trolley is just flipped over.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound great, does it?
Really doesn't. So I'm sorry, Burley, but you know, I'm willing to try one. But if it careers me into oncoming traffic, I'm not going to be very happy.
You know, might not crash.
Oh, it might not crash. No, it might not crash.
The Cotswold Cyclist wrote in to say, that was an epic edition of the GCN show, so I shall collect my medal. Almost didn't stick it out, but made it through the whole thing.
When I first saw this, I was like, thanks, an epic edition of the GCN show. And then I realised it was like, that was an epic edition, like an epic ride that you don't think you're going to finish. So not a good one.
It feels like an achievement. Not even type 2 fun,
No.
in hindsight.
No, that's it. Yeah, we just struggled through it. But anyway, thank you for sticking with us, Cotswold Cyclist. And then, you know, I said there was only one cycling novel that I could think of. It was The Rider by Tim Crabb. Anyway, some of you pointed in the direction of some more. So 107.9 said not only The Ride, but also Von 2 by Sam Wagendorp. And then Ralph Hearn's The Yellow Jersey, and that was suggested by Rick McGee. And Joe Mungo Reed's We Begin Our Ascent. And Jorge Zepeda Patterson's The Black Jersey. And then finally, this one was particularly exciting, Greg Moody has written a series of 5 novels which are cycling murder mysteries.
Really?
I know. I
Wow.
wonder whether we should try and get the rights to those novels, and then we could create actual drama on GCN Plus.
I've always wanted a BAFTA.
Yeah, imagine that. You could be an actor. That would get you back on a bike, wouldn't it? Daniel Luke pretending to cycle in a murder mystery. You could be like a detective. Like a cycling detective.
Boggles what I could do in said movie that we're going to produce.
Oh
anyway,
my
sounds
God.
like your Christmas list is getting bigger by the day. You like the sound of all those novels.
Thank you, Jim Tim, for that last one, by the way.
Just finally, before we get on to what's coming up this week, underneath Bonkers Bike Race, Mr. Gregory said, to really show how small Hank is, he should have been wearing size glasses. Good point. Although we wouldn't have seen much of Hank, I don't think.
But I'm pretty sure his head is normal sized. It's just the rest of him that's average, as Hank would say. Anyway, there we go. Yeah, do check that video out there if you haven't seen it already. It was a bit of fun, wasn't it?
Right, on Wednesday, we are going to show you some cyclocross basics, starting with riding upstairs.
That's
No,
right,
it's not
and
riding
impossible
upstairs.
climbs. Yeah, that would be cool, wouldn't it? We'll get T-Bone Nace on a vid at some point.
Hopefully, yes. We've had his dad, haven't we?
We have indeed, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
The goat.
on Thursday, we've got a video entitled, You Know You're a Cyclist When? ...
Friday, epic climbs. So we've ridden up a few epic climbs in our times. So we're going to give you a little bit of information about the Col de Tourmalet, how to do it, as well as what it is. So check in on Friday for that one. Then on Saturday, as mentioned, Connor did a cyclo-cross race. You've seen a little bit of how it went. Tune in on Saturday to see the rest, and it might surprise you, actually. Then on Sunday, Ollie and Alex did a lap of Mallorca. 3:12. They basically wanted to try and break the record. So Ollie pulled out some fancy
Big
socks.
old day, that wasn't it?
It was a
I
big old
saw
day.
Pictorial evidence of the aftermath, he said, right.
Yeah, Alex didn't look too good after that, did he?
No, so he couldn't do a pull-up. Didn't try one. On the app then, or at least on GCN Plus, the road season has officially finished for
Has it?
2023, at least at the very highest level.
Goodness
Tour de
me.
Guangxi was the last of those races.
Milan Vader won, didn't he? Come back from...
We don't know yet as we record. This is one more stage to go.
Oh, is there?
But he has won a stage, and as we record this, he's leading overall and looking likely to win.
Well, fingers crossed, because
Overall as well.
that's quite some comeback, isn't it?
A massive comeback. That guy was in an induced coma, for those of you who haven't seen what happened to him last year at the Tour of the Basque Country. But we do have some non-road racing for you in the form of the Super League Triathlon. But I'm going to skip past that because we've also got the first round of the Super Prestige Cyclo-cross on Sunday in Overijse and round 1 of Series 3 of the UCI Track Champions League. That's coming to you from Mallorca this Saturday evening European time.
There we go. Hopefully that Super League Triathlon won't get interrupted by saltwater gobies again.
No.
But you never know with triathlon because it's a sport fraught with danger.
Just one more thing I forgot to mention is that the World of Cycling show from last week, which was our end of season award show, is available for everybody to watch that's got a GCN Plus account, or GCN App account, should I say. Even if you're not a subscriber to GCN Plus, you can watch that one for free.
That's super cool, isn't it? And with the fact that it's the end of World of Cycling for this season, that literally does draw a close to the road season, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's it now.
Exactly.
No more. For another couple of weeks until it all kicks off again.
Yes, it's probably only 2.5 weeks.
Basically, yeah.
Mid-January, isn't it?
Right, there we go. Done. I think.
Pretty much. We haven't mentioned the documentary from this week. KOM Hunters.
Oh my word! It's an absolute belter. You absolutely have to see this. Honestly, it's one of my favourites that we've done so far.
Yeah.
So do check it out. Mont Ventoux this time for our crack team of climbers, amateur climbers.
Hunters.
Yeah, can we get the Mont Ventoux KOM?
Yeah.
Definitely check it
I
out.
haven't watched it, but I will be doing so in the next week or two. But that is the end of this week's GCN show. We've run out of medals to give anyone that's got through to the end, unfortunately. Not that we had any to start with.
Probably need an energy gel by now, actually.
Yeah. Right, thanks for watching. See you next week.